This is the United Uprising channel. Welcome to today's show. Cloning. I've talked about it in the past, right? I've also talked about creating new humans. These people, nobody knows who they are. They're just very wealthy. They're involved with quote unquote technology, or they're scientists. So we're supposed to believe, they put doctor in front of their name, that they're very, very smart and intelligent, and we don't get what they're actually doing. And somehow we allow them to do all these things that nobody should be. Experiments on human beings, on cloning, this stuff shouldn't be happening. But of course, as we're all distracted with ridiculous things every single day, nobody focuses on actually holding these people accountable and stopping them from doing what they're doing. Removing jobs from humans and giving it to AI should just be enough to stop these people from doing what they're doing, because we should all care as humans about other humans. But of course, they keep everyone divided with all these political things so that people are growing cold of one another, like the Bible references. And then, of course, we have stuff like this, which immediately a light bulb should go off and we should say, all right, you know what? I don't know who this dude is, but this guy's got a lot of money. This guy's dealing with this. People are doing this behind closed doors. Let's stop it from happening now. Because what he's saying is, in this interview, Siddhartha Mukherjee, let's just call him SM, because I don't know what's pronouncing that, is talking about this term, new humans. Have you heard that before? Because I've covered it a lot. Klaus Schwab, Yuval Harari. New humans, creating new human beings, right? And this, if you actually study stuff with that guy with the mustache and things like that throughout history, creating a new, almost like a new hybrid race of humans is what the goal has been. Now, I'm going to play for you this interview where this guy talks about 4 key components to creating new humans, okay? Gene editing, synthetic biology, bionics integrated with AI, and cloning. Now, people out there hear this stuff and their brains automatically just go, I don't know what this guy's talking about. What's he talking about here? Well, when it comes to gene editing, all they have to do is get something inside your body, and then they're able to edit your genes. Could you think of what it could have been, or what it could currently still be? And people are like, no, how would they get inside my body? Oh, I don't know. They can create something, make it up, and then make you put stuff in you. You don't even know what it is, but you trusted them, so you put it in you. And then the next thing you know, you're getting your genes edited, right? Synthetic biology and bionics integrated with AI is something I've warned about for years. For those of you that have followed me for years, despite being brand new to YouTube, you all know about the mind control that they're using with health, right? Health benefits. Oh, get this tech inside of you. It's a benefit your health. It can track your heartbeat. That way, if you have a stroke, you don't have to worry about getting to a hospital. Oh, automatically call the ambulance for you, et cetera, because they're tracking your heartbeat, right? So people think that that's a good thing. That's why they have all this tech like iFit. They're conditioning you to eventually get this underneath your skin. And then, of course, bionics integrated with AI, where they talk about how somebody might have Parkinson's. They don't say how they got Parkinson's. They don't talk about the chemtrails and the other things they get inside your body, which cause people to have Parkinson's and all these other illnesses. They've, of course, normalized these things with television shows, with rolling out Michael J. Fox. They normalize it so that you just go, oh, okay, well, he's got that. That's horrible. Instead of going, why are these popping up? Why is this becoming more prevalent in our society? Why is cancer becoming more prevalent in our society, right? They don't want you to do that. So then they come out with their bionics and they go, well, we can stop it. Somebody might have this disease, somebody might have Alzheimer's, right? You see commercials pop up every day about Alzheimer's, and oh, you know, it's wonderful and beautiful. And it's like, you know, they mock us right to our faces, showing us elderly people with Alzheimer's. Now we hear about 30-year-olds getting Alzheimer's. And if you say something about it, you're a horrible person, instead of saying, why are they getting Alzheimer's? Why are more and more? You can't say that. How could you say that? That's hate speech, right? That's hateful. Thinking, how could a 30-year-old get Alzheimer's? It's science. You don't understand. Oh, no, I do understand. I understand how poisoning people works, right? Because I see it every day happening all around me. Whether it's the sky, whether it's the technology and the stuff they spew through the television sets with our minds, et cetera, the stuff in our food and our water. So bionics is another way they're going to get people on board, because they're going to tell you people who are, war veterans who lost a leg, right? People who have brain dysfunctions, who need a chip in their head. Technology, of course, and they talk about merging humans and tech, mixing of iron and clay referenced in the Bible. That's what they're talking about, creating transhumans, people who are no longer human. And then, of course, going into cloning and creating new human beings, about a hybrid race. I'm going to play for you some of these clips from G0 World, where Ian Bremmer sits down with the cancer physician and biologist who goes by the name of SM, that's what we're calling him, talking about these groundbreaking developments, which really sound like hell on earth. And if you were watching a horror movie, you would agree. And then you're not watching a horror movie. You're living in it. Listen to this.
Imagine being able to have a communication, a real communication, with the simulacrum of someone who's passed away. That technology is not a Black Mirror episode anymore.
You've been in this science, and
Yeah.
you've been at the cutting edge of the science for decades now.
Yeah.
So why has it exceeded your expectations?
Several tools came upon us which were unexpected. CRISPR is absolutely one of them. So just to go back a little bit to explain what CRISPR is a bacterial system by which you can make very specific alterations in the genome,
of a person,
in genomes, which you couldn't do before. That technology, I would say, is groundbreaking, and it really shook our worlds because I hadn't expected.
Because in principle, you can now customize a human being.
In principle, you can customize the genomes in as I said, in small ways. People say, we're going to make new human beings that are, customizable to the nth degree, blue eyes, taller, whatever, etc. Those are almost impossible things to do. And that's because most of those traits are encoded not by one, but by hundreds, if not thousands of genes. That's puts a natural limit because with CRISPR, you can only go so far. So that's one thing that happened. The second thing that's happening very, very quickly is we're making synthetic genomes that are longer and longer and longer. Now, if you make a synthetic genome that's longer and longer and longer, very soon you're going to get to a place where you can put a really, really long piece of an entirely chemically synthesized piece of DNA. You don't need CRISPR for that. You can basically write a code. I hadn't expected the speed at which that's happened either. So now you can go up to thousands, tens of thousands. Very soon we'll be able to go up to millions of completely freshly written code, just like you would type into a computer. Last piece, or last two pieces. So I talked about CRISPR.
Yep.
I talked about synthetic genomes. Number three is we are now doing more and more bionic things. I talked about electrodes. So we're doing bionic things. We're extending our hands, our brains using bionics. And where bionics comes in, of course, AI comes in. The minute you have bionics, you have AI because artificial intelligence in principle allows you to do very much superior bionics.
So we can optimize a prosthetic leg,
for instance,
to work more effectively
Correct.
than a real one.
That's right. And we can optimize potentially a prosthetic electrical device that would sit on your brain to work much, much more effectively because there's a learning algorithm inside it, which wasn't there before. And I said there were four things. The fourth has been around for a while, but it's been cloning. So Dolly the sheep, it's moved along in time, and now all of a sudden we're cloning lower animals like sheep much, much more effectively. So what I'm trying to say is now combine all of these four pieces. These pieces are sort of sitting right now in different silos. But imagine a combination of all four of these, or some combination of these three things applied to a real human. And that's what I mean by the new human. That's the speed at which I had not expected these four pieces to come together. Again, to name them: CRISPR, synthetic biology, prosthetic biology with AI, and cloning of individuals. That's what is moving. This nexus has been moving faster than I had expected.
So does that sound like a good world, a world we need to live in? Of course not. Of course not. Talking about altering humans, talking about genetic codes specifically creating humans. Oh, you want blue eyes? Anybody alarmed yet? The science of new human. Anybody creeped out? Of course they're not. Of course they're not, because they think this is neato and cool. Until, of course, they're affected directly by it, but they won't realize it. It's almost like we're going to be living in Pet Cemetery. They're like, my mom's dying, and they're like, oh, my mom just died. Well, we could clone your mom, or we could use all this technology to keep your mom alive. And like, yes, I'm on board. I don't want my mom to die. Even though I'm a Christian in the Bible, like, this is all natural and normal. We could prevent it from happening. I won't think about the mark of the beast or anything else. No, I'm on board. And you're like, oh, okay, they're on board. Then your mom suddenly is no longer your mom. Your mom's turned into a church from Pet Cemetery, looking to bite your face off, and you're still like, that's my mom, right? That's because they're weakening people. They're making people want this stuff. And of course, somehow, what's to me the craziest notion of all is convincing people. They're like, don't you want to live forever? And people are like, yeah, because they've made people so fearful of death, right? And you just look around, you're like, people want to live forever in this? Like, everybody's complaining. Everyone's like, this place is hell. And it's not, obviously, I know we all kind of complain about this stuff because it's absurd what we're living in. We're all actual human beings who think and see it. So, I get it when people are like, get me out of here. I say it all the time. But, there's a lot of people out there that don't know why they're miserable, who won't wake up to what's going on because they refuse to because of the programming that, they're going through, their mind control program on a day in, day out basis where they're taught that all the stuff we talk about is conspiracy and they shouldn't look at it and it's bad for them and these people are nuts. When in reality, they're the ones who are being groomed into being insane because they're the ones who are thinking it's normal to castrate your kids. So those people are complaining about life. They're like, I'm miserable, I'm depressed. But then they're going to want to live forever in it. Right? And upload their consciousness and stay here. Yeah, I'm good. I'll pass on that. Hard pass. So let's get into the interview that you just saw and talking about some of these things. He points to 4 tools that have sped up our understanding of how the human body works: gene editing, AI-powered prosthetics, cloning, and synthetic biology. Okay, people just hear gene editing, synthetic biology. They're not realizing that that's what's going on right now. Not just having the technology to do it, they just did it. To a large amount, billions of human beings just underwent gene editing, okay? And they're like, no, they didn't. What are you talking about, man? Oh, that's crazy. Oh, so what do you think? Gene editing is you're going to willingly go? You're going to willingly go to this guy's house, Siddhartha Makuri, and you're going to knock on his door and be like, you know what? I always wanted blue eyes. I got brown eyes. Can I sign up for some gene editing? They know nobody's willingly signing up for gene editing. So they're taking it upon themselves to edit your genes. Now, there will be people who sign up, of course, for the synthetic stuff, because if you have a family member who has Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, or you happen to have those things, you might actually get lured into this because they're going to play on your emotions and they're going to play on your disabilities, and you're never going to ask why you're disabled. Okay, like whether it's a disability from Alzheimer's or something like that, where you could point directly at the chemical bomb that they're putting us under, or even if you're a military veteran, you had a limb blown off, you still should be asking a question because you should say, what did I get my limb blown off for? I was told to sign up and serve, and everybody has freedom because of me, because I went over them. Do they? First of all, none of us have freedom, and what we really need is the military to wake up and go rogue on these people, because these people are psychopaths, and they're training you to eventually turn on the civilians. They're convincing the military, training the military, to think that the terror threat that exists in this world is conspiracy theorists, because we're the only threat to this global government. Because if people knew what that's the thing, is people are like, oh, I'm a globalist, or I want communism. The reason they want to silence us is they don't want you to get what they're doing and the means and the tactics that they're using, how they're making it sound like it's a utopia and it's wonderful. They fear that from us, the way that we explain this, all of us, to other people. They fear that information. They fear people actually realizing what's going on. So they're training the military, of course, to make us all think that we're threats. So that's just another way that they're going to lure people into the AI-powered prosthetics. Of course, you heard him even mentioning brain chips and cloning. So he says the technology is groundbreaking. It really shook our worlds because he didn't expect it to be ready so soon, even though this type of technology has been ready for a while. Okay? The cloning thing is hilarious when they talk about cloning the sheep. Because I've covered this so many times. I won't put the clip in here, but I've covered Bill Clinton and Al Gore talking about cloning, the ethics of cloning. Just like, it's amazing, some of the stuff. If you go back through you can't go back on the website, you can, but some of the stuff when Clinton was president that they openly talked about, like he came out and talked about MK Ultra and was just like, oh, we apologize. And people, that's it. They're like, what? Oh, okay, apologize. They were more concerned about the Monica Lewinsky thing, which of course was created as a distraction. That was all done by design. Then to actually listen to the stuff that came out on MK Ultra, experimenting on human beings, turning human beings into guinea pigs, cloning, which who gave them a green light to do that? Right? We're all like, what benefit does cloning a human being serve? That we would be like, let's think about that. What? Because you're emotional and you want your cat cloned? Oh yeah, let's think about it so you can clone your cat. What benefit would it serve our government and our world? Okay, and then the fact that it's so satanic and unnatural and unhuman and inhumane, maybe we would, So of course, when Clinton was president, they had Lewinsky, because those things were all coming out then. And he even had to address those things. And instead of the people caring about that, they were like, did you have sexual relations with a woman? It's like, he's had more than sexual relations with a woman. He's had sexual relations with a lot of boys. So anyway, back to the story here. So the fact that they can openly talk about this stuff should really, really scare all of us. CRISPR, AI, cloning could transform the human race. Guess what? They're already transforming the human race. Klaus Schwab, Yuval Harari, all of these people who are pushed us on TV, put in these meetings with world leaders. This is what they're talking about. Creating a hybrid race of humans. There's people out there who are so dumbed down, so stupid, libs really, and they're like, that sounds cool and neat, right? Think about why they've been pushing the superhero stuff. I've constantly talked about it. Witchcraft and transhumanism. That's it. Why do you think they have stuff where like, what's your superpower? What would your superpower be? Because they're pushing transhumanism, okay? That's the whole purpose of the whole movement with superheroes. Who would ever be into this dork fest of this stuff? And now it's like every week there's a new super. Like, who is going to see? I saw a commercial for Aquaman. Is somebody really going to see that? Absolute snooze fest, dork fest, embarrassed. Aquaman, he's an right? I saw a commercial of 30 seconds during a football game. He's talking about bloodlines. Oh, bloodlines. You're referencing bloodlines. Oh, I wonder why you're referencing bloodlines. Because all the people who are making these movies are all in the same bloodline. That reptilian bloodline, that Nephilim bloodline. So, yeah, whatever, right? Just nobody thinking. They're like, yeah, it's normal because it makes money. It's not about making money, folks, at all. They print it, okay? Nobody wants to see this crap, but they convince you that you do, and they're grooming you on a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week basis. So this guy's talking about cloning and transforming human beings. Nobody gave any of these people authority, right? Are they talking about who they've run these experiments on? They tell us that they've run it on a sheep. They're running it on, when they show you a sheep and they're saying they're running it on sheep, they really mean human beings, mainly Democrats, the ones who are signing up for this stuff. Brain dead zombies is what they're saying. They've been doing this stuff on humans, not animals, humans. They're like, yeah, we did it on lab mice. No, they didn't. You remember the homeless guy who used to sit on the corner and then he went missing? Or some of the guys that are released back into the open after they do these MK Ultras experiments on them and they're walking around talking to themselves? What do you think has been done to them? Mind erasers? The stuff that the CIA is doing to people and then sending them back out in the open to see how they react after they've been programmed and these people lose their minds? Or just people who go missing? Yeah, they're running these experiments on them. They ain't running them on mice. Okay, they ain't running them on gerbils, ladies and gentlemen. They're running them on humans. And now they're running them in the open on humans. Because a lot of the people out there, when they talk about CRISPR and they talk about gene editing, they're already the lab rats. We've seen them. We know them. We deal with them every day now because there's billions of them who have voluntarily signed up for gene editing without even knowing it. I thank everybody for being here. Could get a strike, so you might want to sub to my other channel now if you haven't yet. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always and your families.